beat them. And they think beating means, no, it does say that. It does say that. Beat. But what is the beating? The Quran uses an example. A prophet takes a bunch of grass and he beats with the grass. Oh, look at this. The woman's now going to get black and blue. His hands are broken, nose are broken with a piece of his grass. Any intensive care. Is that what it is? No.
Somehow it's love. Coming from a religion that says you can actually kill women and children, an entire nation.
Yeah.
Well,
from the city to the ground. So coming from loving Jesus, who apparently
doesn't matter which translation, because we know the Arabic.
Islam is ruling the country as always.
So here,
Syria, Islam ruins
when the ayah talks about
Syria, Islam ruins it. Libya,
الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. So when it says men and women, in the context it refers to husband and wife. Okay? It doesn't refer to brother and sister. It doesn't refer to what? Husband and wife. So men are protectors, maintainers, supporters of women. That's how it starts. That's a role given by God. Why? Because they have a role to play. Look, because it's not automatic right, it's a privilege based on conditions.
So what about the hitting? What about the hitting?
You can tell him, I find it difficult to speak when there's all this heckling in my ears. That's why I want, you can just tell him, sorry, it's a private conversation.
Come on, let's go.
No, you can tell him, it's okay. No, yeah, you can, because he's interrupting our conversation.
I've got a beard. I don't like.
Do you mind? We're having a conversation. We don't want you to be here.
Point where you can beat your wife.
So that's typically what a heckler would do, right? So I'll try with all this heckling around. Okay. So the reason man as a husband is protectors and maintainers of women, being wives, is because what God had made to excel some over the others, not all. Some. That's point number one. Point number two, and because they spend out of their property. So two things. God has excelled some husband over some wives, and also given them some means to spend over their wives. That two conditions makes them to have that privilege to be called قوامون على النساء, protectors and maintainers and supporters of women. Having established that framework, the next thing it says, this is the reality. Now, believing and good women, pious women, what is their responsibility? That they should be obedient. Qanitat.
Should men obey their wives too?
They should be obedient.
Okay.
It doesn't say to who, by the way. Look, the ayah in Arabic, it says, فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِطَاتٌ. Doesn't say obedient to the husband. Doesn't say obedient to the God. So it could refer to both, or to God, or to the husband, right? Make very general statement. So because God is saying we have given the role to the man, and you need to be obedient, it makes sense that you need to be obedient to God.
So is God a man?
Obedient to God means what? Understanding your roles and responsibilities. And being obedient, فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ بِمَا حَفِظَ اللَّهِ. And to guard what God has asked them to guard. So a wife who is devout and obedient to God, and obedient to the husband's loving relationship, she has a responsibility to guard what God has asked her to guard. What do women normally guard when the husband's away? Many things. One of the important things is her own.
If she doesn't guard stuff.
One of the important things is her own chastity, right? That she doesn't sleep around with other men or whatever.
Is that the same
doesn't bring another man into the bedroom and so on.
Is that the same with
and also, it could be she doesn't sell his Mercedes, Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, whatever, right? When he's away. It's to guard what God has given out the role of guarding in the husband. So that when the husband is away, that's what it says. When the husband is away,
Where's the physical items?
when the husband is away, she has the role to look after herself and the interest of her husband. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Good. Framework now established.
Okay.
Next thing is, if now what happens?
Now it's an if.
By the way, all the Christian cameras, I'm not having a discussion with your heckler. I'm having a discussion with this lady here, so there's no point discussing, right?
Well, then why are the mics going on?
So now,
if you fear.
if now, as a husband,
You fear. That's what the verse says. If you fear, this
I'm
will
sorry, I
be
can't
fear.
continue. I can't continue.
Why?
I can't continue.
Then supposedly you're supposed
I apologize.
So, everything
I cannot
you said,
continue in it like
from
this
what the verse then
because
says,
I can't even say a word without an uncivilized Christian heckler trying to heckle a civilized conversation.
Yeah, but you've been monologuing
This
for like
is
30
Christian
minutes.
love for you, by the way.
Yeah, it is love.
The exemplification of
We hate
Christian
lies.
love. This is his love.
So we love people by hating lies.
There you go. There you go.
So what we can do, look, what we can do is Speakers Code has a bylaw that they cannot keep on heckling us and chasing us, right? So we're going to move away. So do you want to bring this away? We just move away to this side. Islam.
Very quickly, I just wanted to meet you. I came from Canada.
Hello, Mentor. I've seen you on YouTube. Very nice.
I'm just having a conversation with the lady. Sorry. Thank you.
I wanted to have a private conversation, not with the cameras. So I don't know why.
So, not the cameras. You know what? Later. Yeah.
For security for him, right?
Yeah. She says just a private conversation, please. Right.
Because I'm just trying to. I don't want to perform with the cameras. I just want to get like a heart-to-heart conversation.
That's precisely what I want.
I don't want.
Right. So here, the husband's away.
Yeah.
The wife, he comes back and he says, look, as to those on whose part you fear dissension. The Arabic word here, وَاللَّاتِي تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنَّ. When you find and when you fear, when you sense that there's some kind of rebellion in this relationship, right? That nushuz can be flirting. It could be really sleeping around with someone else to that extreme. It could be something even other things, right? It's basically anything that destabilizes the marital relationship between a husband and a wife and that breaks up marriage. This kind of things that you're afraid. So while he was away, the husband, if you've done that and he discovers that, whose trousers are those? And the shoes. Oh, look at the man running away from the bedroom. I'm just dramatizing it. If he fears that this is what exactly happened, the first thing what the Qur'an does, it gives you a prescription of what the man should do. Now, what happens normally in real life? When a man discovers his girlfriend, that his fiance or his wife, with another man in the bedroom, blood boils because he loves her. It could be that they have children, right, as well in the marriage. A 13-year-old girl, for example, a teenager, and he sees now she's committing adultery. The man becomes very angry. This is what man is normally. I mean, I can tell you as a man, right? You'll become very angry, blood will come to your head, and you'll want to like be violent and aggressive.
Is that why he's allowed to?
No. I'm saying this is what happens in reality. And that is what happens in most of the cases, and people end up in hospital A&E because they start beating their wives. The Quran says no. The first thing that you do, فَعِظُوهُنَّ. Admonish them. Means what? You don't become angry at all in that sense, or you control your anger. You don't become violent. You don't become very aggressive to the point where you're going to now hit her and so on and so forth. You calm down. So this is already a process in which it's now trying to make the man to be what? In his normal self. Not to be outside his normal judgment. Calm down. Relax. Cool down. and reason with your wife. Admonish means fa'idhuhunna is, have you heard of wa'd? And so when a Maulvi gives wa'd, he preaches. He gives the wa'd. So you speak to her and tell her, why did you do that? What have you done? And so on. This is about reasoning to make her understand that what you have done is not appreciated. Number one, by God, because God wants you to guard your chastity. And number two, by the husband who loves you. So, in that situation, if the wife says, I am so sorry, I was mistaken, I was confused, I was, totally controlled by my emotion, by this kind of, propaganda, whatever, or this, drug, whatever, I was misled, right? By my emotion, by my feelings, whatever. But I'm so sorry. I apologize. Please forgive me. You know what the Quran says? That's it. You can't do anything to her. You have to stop her and then you forgive her. The Quran gives prescriptions only to those who do not stop and persist and not asking forgiveness or ask forgiveness and then comes back again, he does the same thing. Finds another man, for example, whatever, right? Now he sold his house. If the woman doesn't show any respect to God and to the marriage that they're in, then the Quran starts giving a level of prescription, because the first prescription of reasoning didn't help. Because if the reasoning, having a discussion, let's sit down, look, do you really want us to get divorced? You can say from the very get-go, you can say that. Okay, okay, nice seeing you.
So are you saying the last resort would be?
Normally, no, that's not the last resort. The last resort is you divorce yourself and you say, be your way, be my way.
So where are they getting that from then?
Because they don't read what it says. I will show you exactly, point by point, all of the points, right? Yeah.
I'm about to go anyway.
Okay, so I'll wrap this up very quickly then. Look, just like a doctor gives a prescription to a patient when they come for some kind of pain, you don't give them the highest level of painkiller. You give them something like paracetamol. Okay, carry on taking paracetamol. Come back again if it didn't help. You come back again, they're not going to give you paracetamol again because it didn't work. You give something stronger. So by necessary logic, you need to give each step that is going to be more and more harsher, more stronger. In this prescription, the next step is harsher than the first step. The next step is what? Look. Leave them alone in their sleeping, in their beds. That means stop having conjugal relationship. You're no longer having a marital relationship. It's harsher by simply saying, why are you doing this? Because if you're married, you know you need to fulfill your needs. I'm just wrapping this up because you have to go. Because
yeah.
I'm
getting cold.
Even if that didn't work, by isolating yourself in the bed, like keeping an eye, reasoning with you, don't do that again, not stopping this conjugal relationship, intimate relationship. And still, if it doesn't work, the wife persists on doing that. What does it tell you about the wife? Does she really believe in God? Does she really care about God? Does she really respect God and honor the household and the husband? She doesn't. She's got some problem. That's why the next step is, before you that, فَضْرِبُوهُنَّ. This is the word they use. Beat them. And they think beating means, no, it does say that. It does say that. Beat. But what is the beating? The Quran uses an example. A prophet takes a bunch of grass and he beats with the grass. Oh, look at this. The woman's now going to get black and blue. She's hands are broken, nose are broken with a piece of this grass. Any intensive care. Is that what it is? No. Because, one second. These things, usually in the hadith literature, it's like with a miswak. You know a miswak? Muslim toothbrush, right? You do this with a miswak. You end up in A&E. This is symbolic. Why? What does it symbolize? Because next step. At that current state, when reasoning didn't work, not having intimate relationship didn't work, I'm saying the next step is, it doesn't work. It means what? we are no longer going to keep it secret between ourselves. At that point, our children doesn't know. The husband and the wife, their children don't know that anymore. The parents don't know. The friends don't know. No one knows. Now it's saying, now we need to go for arbitration. We need to go to our families who we trust and we rely on, reliable, and ask them, this is our problem. Can you help us to sort it? If they help us to sort it, that's it. Back to marriage again. Even after what she's done. Even after she's flirted and she's committed adultery, God says that's how it should be. Forget and forgive. But if that didn't work, then you depart peacefully. Marriage is annulled. These are stepwise directions and prescriptions for disobedient wife. Similar thing, when the wife fears the same kind of thing, the Quran also talks about it. But the Quran doesn't say beat them, because most of the time, if he had it was what? They're going to get beaten up instead, because man is naturally physically stronger. So for them, the solution is, if that can happen, of course, you go to arbitration and you get a divorce and so on and so forth. This is Islamic legal system, dealing with everyday, ordinary day of problems between man and wife. And these solutions are practical, reasonable, fair, and just. Because at the very instance, if the woman said, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, whatever, I'm not going to do that again, that's the end of it. But this explanation is not offered by hecklers like this individual or any other individual.
So it's not like a physical beating where it's just, well, not metaphorical, but just figuratively.
Because Quran uses wadrib, strike an example. Like how? How can you strike an example? Figuratively. And then there are this grasp. Prophet Ayub or Job uses this example, right? Yeah. So we have linguistic, contextual, and so on. So these things, as we understand, these are symbolic. So if you find now Muslim abuse these words and say, let me go and beat my wife, then they're not really understanding what the message is there in the Quran. We can't take their misunderstanding and apply to say this is what it means. Do you follow so far? Yeah. So there are bad Muslims who beat their wife, but that's not what the Quran is actually intending here. It's all about symbolizing that you need to correct your woman so that it doesn't end in divorce. Why does the Quran want to protect this marriage? Because there might be children involved. Yeah? To protect them. Otherwise, simply, it doesn't work out, get a divorce, and that's the end of it. You go your way, I go my way. But Islam tries to protect this family, because one-parent family and the children that comes from this one-parent family, what a life they have of misery and suffering. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. All right, take care. If you ever come along again, Speaker's Corner, we can have a conversation to continue and so on and so forth. But in the meantime, as we've discussed about God and one God and why Islam gives you that perfect concept of one God, look at the Quran, listen to it, read it, and then we can question about it. Okay? Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.